What if when you got to the part of a separation,
Basically, she was saying that you were operating outside of the.
you can operate for up to an hour before you have to restore the circulation?
Were you operating for 22 hours straight?
And we both fell asleep in mid-sentence and woke up 3 hours later.
What was it like?
Why is it that the mortality rate is so high? Why did they all die?
I wanted to kind of dig in a little bit about what was it like preparing for the surgery with the twins. Or it was
Well,
22-hour operation.
That was a very interesting time in my life. I got very interested in conjoined twins just out of the blue. And I was saying, why is it that the mortality rate is so high? Why did they all die? And I concluded after much research that it was exsanguination or bleeding to death. And I said, this is 1987. We should be able to keep people from bleeding to death. We must have some techniques. And I started thinking about it. And, I talked to the chief of cardiothoracic surgery, who was a friend, and I said, Bruce, what do you guys do? You operate on little babies' hearts. How do you keep them from bleeding to death? And he told me about hypothermic arrest. You cool the body temperature, you pump all the blood out, stop the hearts. And you can operate for up to an hour before you have to restore the circulation without major damage to the brain. And I started thinking, I said, what if when you got to the part of a separation where they all bleed to death, you put them on hypothermic arrest, and then you're able to get them separated and repair the vessels, pump the blood back in, start the heart up. And then I said, why am I thinking about this? I'm never going to see a set of twins like that. A few weeks later, there they were. And, the question was being asked of various surgical teams in different places around the world. Do you have a solution? Because the parents didn't want to take the European solution, which was to choose which one should live and to sacrifice the other one. And, I explained, what I had been thinking, and everybody said, that sounds like it might work. And we started having some conferences on it, putting a team together. A few of us actually went over to Germany to examine the twins. And we came back and started doing practice sessions where we would take two dolls and stick them together with Velcro and figure out what had to be done. The nurses designed special drapes that could be used so that when you pull the beds apart, the drapes would fall into place and maintain the sterility of the field. The head nurse in neuro became my psychiatrist. I would lay down on the couch and close my eyes, and she would say, tell me what you need, tell me what instrument. She put together all the packs. And it was really quite a team effort. I got so much credit for doing it, but I couldn't have done it without all those people.
How many people were involved?
The surgical team itself was about 70 people. And
70 people?
70 people. And probably one of the most interesting things is that the head of the department, Dr. Long, who had always been a supporter of mine even as a resident, he would have these very prominent patients coming from all over the country, all over the world. And anyone who didn't want me on their case, he would happily show them the door. I remember there was one guy, he said, I can't have a black person operating on me. And Dr. Long said, there's the door. He just didn't tolerate any of that kind of foolishness at all. But as the head of the department, he could have had the right to have done the surgery with me as the assistant, but no, he insisted I be the primary surgeon and that he would assist.
Back to the twins. There was a 22-hour operation.
It was.
Were you operating for 22 hours straight?
For most of it, part of the time the plastic surgeons were involved, but we did the lion's share. But a lot of people say, well, how can you stay awake that long? But you're not going to sleep. It's like being in a jungle with a hungry tiger. You're not going to sleep until you get out of there. But after the operation, I was sitting in my office with one of the other neurosurgeons. We were discussing the case, and we both fell asleep in mid-sentence and woke up 3 hours later.
Downstairs, I was having a conversation with your wife, and she had brought up the fact that you had, how did she word it? Basically, she was saying that you were operating outside of the law.
Outside of what?
Outside of the law.
Outside of the law? I don't know.
Maybe in a specific case.
Maybe outside of tradition.
Maybe outside of tradition.
Yeah, never outside of the law.
Outside of legal scope, maybe. I don't know though.
No, I don't think.
Do you know what she's talking
I
about?
don't know what she's talking about.
Well,
we certainly did things that were non-traditional, and that would not be what other people would do. That may be what she was talking about.
Well, we skipped ahead a couple of years, so I want to rewind. Where did you first meet your wife, Candy?
We were both from Detroit, but we had to go to Yale to meet each other. And
Your wife was at Yale as well.
yes, she was 2 years behind me. And I knew that she was a musician from a previous conversation, and the church that I was going to needed an organist. So I said, would you like to come to our church and try out for organ? And she said, I haven't played for a while, but sure. And that didn't work out, but she started singing in the choir. And, that fall at Thanksgiving, we both wanted to go back home for Thanksgiving, but neither of us had the money to go back home for Thanksgiving. But the school said, if you will recruit for them, they will pay the expenses if you're going back home. So we were able to go back home on Yale's dime, including their credit card. So we were able to go out and have dinner and lunch. And, we kind of discovered that we liked each other. And when it was time to go back, we had been out late that night, and we had to drive all night to get the car back on time. It was a rental car. And fell asleep on Interstate 80 at Youngstown, Ohio, going 90 miles an hour, and awakened by the vibrations of the car as it was going off the road. And I whipped the wheel, and instead of the car bouncing down the ravine, it just started spinning like a top. They say before you die, you see a video reel of your life. I did.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.